Hello world, and our guest welcome you to the show.
Hey, what's happening, Rich? How are you doing this evening?
Dude, I am enjoying the new year more than you can imagine. It has just been phenomenal, mainly because of the great Christmas gifts.
Great Christmas gifts. I know when I was out visiting you before, I did see one you got last year, the radio.
Yeah,
With, I think that was last year. The
that
radio and the record player. That was really cool. And you picked up some vinyl at that secondhand store.
I did, and we'll bring back. I got that vinyl at a secondhand store in Germany, which is where I went last year for a little bit of a trip at the winter markets. And what's crazy is that record player you saw was a Rosetta, which is a 1970s turntable tape player out of East Germany, West Germany, and
Okay.
yeah, actually, it was a birthday, Valentine's, Christmas, next birthday, next Valentine's, next Christmas gift from the girlfriend because, dude,
Nice.
it literally was shipped from Germany. So you didn't see in the back, like in my back garage, I've got a
Yeah.
I got a big wooden container it came in. It came in like a big wooden crate. Like when
That's
the guy
awesome.
dropped it off, he's like, "What's that?" And I said, "I don't know. It's my gift. I don't know what's in it." And I waited to open it when she was here. You know what I mean? Just to
Yeah.
kind of have fun. But yeah, dude, fun collection stuff, fun things. But I added this, dude. This is totally just for the collection. This has
Okay.
nothing to do with development, nothing to do with anything. I got a Commodore 16.
Oh, did you?
Yes. So I have now added one more step into the world of
Ooh.
my collection. If anybody is listening, and listener, if you've been listening to many of the episodes, you'll
Yeah.
realize this all kicked off with VCF East. And when we were there was a room we were in,
Yo.
and on the back door was a poster. And on that poster was all these Commodore items. And it said Commodore, and it had all these models like the SX40, the bread bin, the C64C, and all those.
Yep.
I found it on eBay and bought it. So
Oh, nice.
now I know it's in my office. And I literally just every time I get one of the pieces that matches it, I put a little sticker by it, like a little gold star that
Okay.
says I've added it. So this is my collection thing. Like right up there's a CBM 25680. Don't think I'll ever get a hold of a CBM 25680, but it's on the
You never
list.
know.
It's on the
You never
collection
know.
list. Yeah, Commodore 16 is on the collection list. So I added it and I made a video about it and I
Ooh.
tested it all. And dude, these retro people, they're just awesome, right?
Oh, they are. This is great.
I mean, retro
Is
people are
it? Does it
just
work?
straightforward. Oh, and it was listed working.
Okay.
I
Good.
will
Good.
tell everybody it was listed before the holidays and they had a crazy price on it. I actually ended up going through all the solds and I checked Reddit and I checked VCF and Discordies and everything. And I pulled my inner Ryan and I made a
Ooh.
best offer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I'm telling you, Ryan is a deal maker. That is all there is to it. Ryan makes deals. And I just buy shit to where often I pay more than I should because I just buy things. And in this case, working C16, matching box with the serial
Oh,
number.
it's gonna have
Oh,
because
you know it had a box. You know it had a box.
you're that box guy.
I am the box guy. So I literally just I went and I said, okay, I think a fair price is X because it was in really good looking shape. And
Okay.
I submitted an offer and they accepted it. Boom. And they shipped it. So I went to
Nice.
test it and dude, all the keys work, all the
Okay.
inputs and outputs I could test work. I don't have a joystick that works with +4 or with the C16. I know I can make an adapter, but
Oh, they
I,
don't. They don't work with the 64 one.
I don't think they're the same, dude. Why do
They
I
may
think
not
they're
be.
not
I don't
the
know.
same?
That was a question because I really
I
don't know.
I believe they're not the same. I'm almost positive they're not the same. And
Okay.
but all the other ports I tested are fine. Everything worked great.
Okay.
All the keyboard's awesome. Boots up like a champ. Clean as all get out and original on the inside. So, some of that's a little nerve wracking, right? Nothing's been
Oh
swapped.
yeah.
And, it's all the old stuff in there. But, um, you know, I'm super happy. Added it to the collection and it's here. So welcome to the new year. Welcome to adding another machine to the collection. And
Perfect.
I don't know what I'll do with it. I think it might just sit there.
Okay. I didn't know. What kind of accessories can you get for this thing? Can you get like a floppy drive? I don't know if we've done that, or did a tape drive? Are
You
they
can. I
compatible?
used my tape drive from the Plus 4 is compatible with
Oh,
the 16. So
okay.
that worked out just fine. But I believe it had a lot of the same problems that the Plus 4 had because it did have some new ports and things on those lines. And so many people had
Uh,
invested heavily. And the C16 came out as like a VIC 20 replacement, which, my God, bro, everybody's already on the C64 or more.
right.
I know they're trying to hit that entry level. Hey, this is brand new in my home, but I don't know if that ship had already sailed. That's the word I'm looking
Right. Yeah, it may have. Somewhere I thought I heard that 16s just didn't sell well, and nobody wanted them, and that kind of what made it more rare right now. But just nobody wanted them. I don't know. I think it's awesome you got to add it. I do think you need something better than a gold star on your poster.
for.
Uh, I'm thinking of see if we can get you some little Commodore chicken lip stickers. You can start putting them on them.
That is a beautiful idea, Ryan. I'm gonna go to the Badge Man because there's this guy who's called the Badge Man I see
Okay.
online that makes new badges for your old machines. Like how always
Oh,
that little C64 comes off.
yep.
And I think that's his name, Badge Man. So Badge Man,
Oh,
if you're listening, just let us know because I think that is your name. I think everybody just refers to you as Badge Man.
okay. I was thinking more of just, hey, you got a printer and sticky tape, print on a blank one with a whole bunch of C64 like chicken lip round stickers, and you
Oh, that
pull
would
them off.
work too. That would work too. That would work
Just
just. That would work
that's what
just
I
fine.
was thinking.
Yeah, just run them through the color printer. Yeah,
Yeah.
don't spend $100 just to put stickers on a board. Yeah,
Cool.
spend like a
Well,
dollar.
I mean, if you really want to, go for it.
Yeah.
But I just think you even need more than a gold star, or maybe different Commodore variations of their logo over time, which you could easily do on like one sheet.
Oh my God, you're right. Have like older and newer and kind of match it with what
Sure.
I'm like with the pet. That's like an older version, whereas the
Yeah.
SX, what is it? SX, I can't even say the
60,
word.
64.
There you go. SX64 have a newer kind of thing.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. And by the way, listener, on my list is an A500. So for some reason, the A500 made the Commodore poster. And
Well,
I
yeah.
think I know a guy I might be able to get one from. Maybe he doesn't have a box, but I know a guy. I know a
I
guy.
have one that has I have one that has a very beat up box that I know I don't want.
Well, there you go.
So I'll be
I
able
think
to show it to you in April
I think
when
we
you
just
come
made
on
a
out.
deal. I know. I got my flights booked. You got the hotel booked. We got
Yes.
VCF East coming up again.
Yes. We'll have to do a 1 year later. Was this a good path down
No,
our
no,
life?
no,
Um,
no.
I think it was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know about uh, your girlfriend, but I know my wife is at one point had threatened us not to be able to talk anymore because every time we did, some new piece of hardware showed up.
Oh, it's just like
And
even when you came to visit and then you're unpacking your bag and you're like, well, here's a SCSI thing and here's this joystick.
yes, yes, yes. So it's never ending, but that's a good thing.
There's the meme that I remind my girlfriend about that it shows a man and a woman laying in bed and under the covers, right? Nothing sexual there. They're just laying in bed and they're awake. They're both awake.
Hmm.
And the guy's kind of like on his side looking off the bed and the girl's looking up in the air and the meme is often, I know he's thinking about other girls. And for me and you, bro, it's me on the side going, can I get an SX64 ever?
Nice.
I do remind her that, hey, my hobbies could be a lot different than this. And this is a pretty wholesome hobby.
Yes. Mine told me she doesn't mind the computer sitting around. She's not super excited about the CRT monitor sitting around.
Oh, they're so big, dude. I
They are
know.
huge.
I am going to the VCF Southwest here in the 27th,
Okay, cool.
our meetup. And I got a free thing to put on the free table, but I'm going to kind of spec some things out, talk to people, see who's doing what, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I remember when I bought that Apple collection, there was a guy there who's somehow like in the top 4 of VCF Southwest. Like he's in the group that makes the group.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
he wanted like the Power PC and the big ass CRT. And
Yeah.
I just need to find out who he is so I can get rid of those 2 things out of my shop.
Yes.
I just need to find out who he is and go, I know you wanted to buy these. I bought the collection. I just want to sell you the 2 things you want to get them the hell out of here. Because, I got 4 CRTs that do nothing for me. They just take up big space and they weigh like 20. They weigh like 50 pounds.
If not more. I remember having a 17 or maybe it was a 19-inch CRT, one of those flat Trinitons. I think that stupid thing weighed 75, 80 pounds.
Oh, it's so good too. Dude, did you see the latest Adrian video where he updated his 1702?
No, I have not.
Oh, it's good. You need to go check it out. And I'm tearing that 1702 apart. I need to get it all cleaned and everything along those lines, and check its internals. You know what I mean? Take a look at what's going on in there. And by the way, dear listener, if you don't know about monitors, don't open monitors. Just FYI, you can die. And by the way, I don't open monitors by myself either. I would make sure my daughter or girlfriend's here and be like, hey, I'm about to do this. Can you hang out with me for a while? And make sure they're around. Cassidy worked at TI this past summer, and I asked, what do those people do that you're working with voltage, right? And she said, not only do they wear the rubber gloves, like the ones you might use in your yard that are rubber on one side and felt or like a fabric on the back, they put leather over those. So that way, if there's ever a hole in the rubber, they got the leather on the outside, or if there's a hole in the leather, they got the rubber on the inside. So they actually, they're pretty damn safe, man. They wear like 2 pairs of gloves to work on things that can blow you up.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go look at mine. I know one of those, there's 3 in my living room and I have 1 in the other room. The 3 in the living room, I'm going to figure out what works, what doesn't, and they are going to go away. It's because it's just, I'm going to probably put them together with some extra at Amiga as a collection kind of piece. Here's a computer, here's a monitor, a mouse, whatever. Put it together and say, it's cleaned up, it's recapped, it's ready to go. But I need to learn about the monitor or find someone that can help me fix it. I know the one works. I know one has a bad power switch. If you hold the power switch in, the guy said it was fine, but as soon as you take your finger out, it'll turn off. So the switch isn't clicking in place.
It's not latching. Yeah. That's a replacement, but I don't think it's bad. That doesn't sound bad.
No.
By the way, Chris, so I started watching. You turned me on to Chris. I'll be sure to link this in the show notes that I when I do the editing, I'll put a link into Chris's YouTube. So you turned me on to him. I have nothing to do with Amigas. Really, I'm never going to do anything with Amigas that I say right now. We'll see how next year goes. And I love watching him. It's lots of fun. Does he ever do anything with monitors, or does he just stay at the PC? Does he just stay at the board?
He's with the computer itself. Okay. He has some monitors. Occasionally he'll use one once in a while just to plug it in and see if it works. Otherwise, he's using an LCD panel.
Yeah. It's not like you can reach out to him for, hey, let's take this apart together.
No.
Not in his world.
No, but some of the VCF people, some of these workshops, that would be where I would go do it and say, hey, I have these monitors. I need help. I don't even know what I'm doing, and I'd rather not die. So that's just not a skill set I have right now, and not necessarily one that I want to gain so much.
Right.
I'm more interested in just using the LCDs. People say that the CRTs can look better in some of the Amiga games, particularly because they've written the games in a way that are dealing with the every other scan line of the monitor. But I don't care.
No,
It's like,
it's I have two monitors pretty much that run, one in the shop and one in the house.
right.
And yeah, I was coding this week, working on that text adventure stuff, and
Oh,
I'm
cool.
on an old CRT. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just the unit. You were there and helped me with
Mhm.
the Wi-Fi modem, and
Yeah.
it's just fun. It's all it is. That's all it is. It's just fun. There is no
Yeah.
value. I could buy the converter to HDMI and have an LCD there, 2 seconds lickety split. But
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of nostalgic.
As you mentioned to me out there, because I did ask that question to you, and it's like, well, that's how you wanted to enjoy them, and I went,
Yeah,
yeah, fair enough.
yeah.
I mean, we're all getting our own thing out of it. I like putting like a network card in my Amiga, getting it on the network. I got a web browser now that I actually loaded CNN on my 4000 tower.
What?
It it must have took it 4 or 5 minutes to parse the front page and use 240 megabytes of RAM, which is
Wow.
which is insane because the the Amiga has on the board at most 18 megabytes. So the one video card I put in adds another 256 meg of
Wow.
RAM that it shares with the Amiga. Without that, I wouldn't be able to do what I just did. But it's ungodly slow. But it worked. It doesn't deal with CSS hardly at all. And I think it only handles JavaScript 1.6 or something. So it's like a very old version of JavaScript. But it was just more of, will this thing actually do it? And what does it look like? So it's the same concept, right? You want to use that CRT monitor? I think that's great.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Did you try going to like LGR's Frog website for old computers?
I have not, but I know there's some Amiga ones too that
Okay.
actually the people purposely write the code so it can display
Yes.
quickly and easily on the Amiga. Yes, most definitely. So see, yeah, I just didn't do that. I'm
You
like, oh,
just
I
went
know
all
that
out, dude.
code.
You went all out. You were like, this is money or nothing.
Yeah, I was like, I have it. We'll do it. Click. What is it doing? You know, it's like
Yeah.
just watching it, processing. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
It might have taken more than 5 minutes. I don't know. It just took forever. I turned around because I have my main machine here in front, right? And then right behind me, I can spin my office chair around and see the Amiga and have its monitor and keyboard
Dude,
there.
dude, dude, what's going on with your Amigas? You got anything new? Anything new happening there?
I've got my second Amiga 4000 desktop recapped,
Oh,
working.
oh,
Chris gave me an awful lot of help with that, just giving me guidance. So it had a almost death by Varda, which is an Amiga thing for sure. Varda is the stupid rechargeable battery that was put in there. It was great
okay.
when it was there for the clock circuit.
Oh, I smell where this is going.
Yeah. So from what I understanding of what I've read, an Amiga's computer life cycle or their expectant lifespan is about 5 years.
Mm,
This one was built in like 1992.
yeah,
That was 30 years ago, right?
yeah.
So, and it still had this Varda battery in it.
Wow.
If the battery's being used all the time, it's probably going to be okay. This one, I'm pretty sure, was sitting in a closet for 10 years
Mm,
or in this extra bedroom or something because it was from an estate sale. So I got there and took the battery out. So, but it had leaked on the motherboard some, and it was not overly enjoyable. So it has surface mount capacitors. Some of those were leaked, had leaked
oh,
as well. So all that stuff got cleaned up, got all the capacitors put back on, and it came back up. Great. The clock was not behaving. I mean, while it was running, it was fine for the most part, from what I could tell. But then it could not find the real time clock at all.
mm.
Not a requirement, but you know, I kind of wanted it. Yeah, I wanted it to work.
Not a requirement, but a pain.
I mean, yes and no. How much do you really care about the clock on a 30-year-old computer? I'm probably
Yeah.
playing a game or writing some piece of that. I don't care as much about the time. But so I learned a little bit about surface mount chips. So I had to pull up two chips and a what do they call a resistor pack.
Ooh.
It's like it's 8-pin resistor pack. Got them off. Messed up a little bit in the process, so had my soldering iron a little too hot when I was pulling up the one chip.
Do you remember the voltage you were at or the wattage you were at? Was it wattage or voltage? No,
I was up around 350C, and I
oh,
should have
fair
been
enough.
down around
That's right.
350C, and I should have been at 250C.
Oh, it's Celsius. It's not Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's
You're at
Celsius.
350 Celsius. Ooh, that's hot.
Yeah, it's like 670 degrees Fahrenheit or
Yeah.
something like that,
Ooh,
which is hotter than what I should have been doing for
you're
running
a hot
chip.
boy. Yeah.
Oops. So learned about that, and then learned about doing bodge wires. So
Oh,
taking,
you had a bodge.
yeah, there's 5 of them I had to do.
That's
So
awesome.
solder to the chip. Some of them went down in the holes for the resistor pack. Some of them went to some vias because the 28 gauge or 30 gauge wire somewhere doesn't say the third. I'm going to 20 or 30 gauge wire. Put through one of the vias and soldered it there. So someone makes a really nice PCB layout thing for there's like a 4000 with a Rev B, which is what mine is. I can click on the pin of the chip and it'll trace out where it all
I've
goes.
seen Chris use this. Are you talking about the same tool he uses online?
Yes.
Yes, I've seen Chris use it. It's awesome.
It's phenomenal. So and I learned about it from him. So that helped quite a bit. So I could actually pin out and trace all this stuff. It is just as much of a pain in the butt as he said it is, and takes just as amount of time. It was like, oh my God, where does this thing go?
Yeah.
And when I started, I wasn't really writing them down. I'll remember. No, I won't. So I'll be checking the same thing like 3 or 4 times. So I got the 5 bodge wires in there. It found that there was a clock. I got a new battery put in. So there's people make I was using, this one's Retro Rewinds.
Oh,
for-
yeah.
I think
Love Retro
Canada.
Rewind. Yeah.
So they actually make an Amiga 3-prong one that will solder into the spot where the Amiga one's same layout, and uses a coin battery, a 2032.
Oh, so smart.
Goes right in there, boom, it worked, powered everything off. Phenomenal, kept the time. It actually finally would recognize the clock consistently. Hey, did I have a real-time clock? There's a couple times I wanted to add 1.21 gigawatts and go back in time since I was trying to activate the clock circuit. It didn't work. So I got that all done, put everything together. Had to take it all back apart because I forgot to put a cover in on the bottom of the motherboard in the case. Like that was great. And I know the power supplies probably should have been changed and recapped. I didn't do that, but did change and add one of those nocturne fans inside the power supply to make it a little.
Oh, that would be so nice.
That's great. And then I added another one inside the case as well. The Amiga 3000s and 4000s have very bad airflow because everything's so tight.
Mm-hmm.
So I added another one there to help blow the air around there, and put some heat sinks on. Like the processor has a heat sink on it, the 68040, but it's hot. And some of the custom AGA chips get hot, so I put some heat sinks on there as well.
Dude,
While I was in there.
Dude, I just want you to think about the evolution of thermodynamics within PCs. So at the time, Commodore, Amiga, Tandy, they had understandings and they did things. But because of the advancement, I mean, I used to do a lot of work with Dell, and I mean, there were just big brain people that were just there to figure out thermodynamics, and that's all they did.
Oh, yeah.
That's all they did was figure out thermodynamics for laptops, and it's amazing that even the C64, I've thought about my daily driver that I need to get some of those little heat sinks and just put them on. I think there's a couple chips that run a little hot, maybe the PLA, and maybe I'm wrong. So comment down below, everybody, if I'm wrong. But I've thought about getting a couple of heat sinks to put on there just to help that heat come off the chip out into, I would call it a radiator. I'm not too sure what you call the fins, but just to get it up off the chip, just to get it out into the body. But yeah, they had understanding, but they didn't know the impacts as we do nowadays.
Right. And they're thinking that computer's going to last about 5 years. sets their design spec, and if the chip dies after 5 years, they're like, oh, it's out of the 5 years. Who cares?
Yeah.
So
It's not like they're building craze here, my friend.
no, but and who would have predicted 30, 40 years later plus that we're trying to still make these machines work
Someone wants to use this.
when when my watch probably has more processing power than all of my Amigas put together at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knew that, right?
I know.
So it was a very interesting build. It took me a little over 2 months on and off between life, full-time work. This thing's been sitting on my desk.
It's fun to do it like that, though.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. Again, this was my second one. It was harder than the first one. I had found two at that estate sale. And the first one, the battery did not leak all over the place. I got lucky. So they're working, and yeah, it's great.
Okay, so another 4000D added to the collection.
Yes, I'm starting a little stack. I have 4 machines right now that I have totally gone through, done cap replacements, and have working. A 2000, which I kicked all this stuff off last year, was the first real Amiga I bought again after I'd gotten rid of my Amigas I grew up with, sadly, over 10 years ago. The 4000 Tower we've talked about, we picked up at VCF last year, and now these two 4000Ds. Yeah, and then I got a whole list yet to go work on. So it's coming. But
that is great.
I love it. And I know there's equipment you need to start diagnosing things whenever they don't go well.
Yes, we do.
And I heard a rumor that you built a thing that will help you do this. What did you build?
I did. I YouTubed it over on High Shelf Ridge. It was I have like what? Six bread bins, right? I got like 6 bread bins.
Yeah.
I got one from you that you brought down that was free. That just works beautifully. I got one that has a bad A key, one with a bad N key, and then I've got like 3 that are like in weird states of booting, like black screen with a hum. Boots up and it shows weird characters, and one that just doesn't do anything. And I dug in my hacker boxes. So this is not a paid promotion thing. And they had a hacker box for making your own oscilloscope. And it's an open source project, DS310 something or other. And actually, I got a lot of views on that. Okay. And I built it, and it works. So as I now dump into these bread bins, my first project is to fix the 2 that have some key issues. Which I've been doing a little research on. It sounds like it's a contact clean / maybe the little metal piece needs to have a little bend added to it over time. You know what I mean? It's an A key and an N key, which, I mean, if we play Wheel of Fortune, an A key and an N key get hit a lot, right? Those are in lot. So, but I got an oscilloscope now. I got a little homemade one. I don't know how good it's going to be, and I'm hoping as I get into these other bread bins that are a pain, that I can go see, do I have logic here? Do I have a high? Do I have a low? I'm really excited. So I built that. It was a really fun project. Nice. I got to use my resistor reader because, I can't see all the color bands. And right. So I just sit down with my resistor reader and I read everything. And I line them all up and I put down a piece of blue tape where they all go, like what they're, are they 10 ohm, 10K, blah, blah, blah. And right. I lay them all out. And then I build. So I built it. I got it. It's done. I need to build its associate, which is it came with also a tester board to where you could turn the board on. And when you test it, it shows you high, low, variable bands. I mean, I don't know anything about oscilloscopes, dude. So this is just a learning process. The build was super fun, though. It was, lots of soldering. You know what I mean? Lots of different pieces of the components. But it did have a little LCD board. Dude, when it comes to oscilloscopes, it is nowhere near what you could buy for probably $250 right off of a shelf that's used, or maybe even some, Amazon Chinese knockoff. I mean, but I built it myself, which makes it fun, right? That's just all fun. And yes, that's why we do these things. I mean, just like
Oh yeah.
I know you could just buy a new keyboard sometimes for things, and you could buy like a special adapter that, or
Yeah.
can you? Can you do that? Can you just get a USB keyboard and buy a special adapter to your Amiga?
I have a couple adapters that will take a PS2 keyboard and
And
give.
oh, those are still old. Can
Those
you
are
get
still
a
pretty
new
old.
PS2? Can you get a new PS2 keyboard?
I
I'm
imagine
looking
there's a
now.
USB to PS2 keyboard adapter.
Oh, so you get adapter to an adapter to an adapter.
Sure, why not? I mean, it's 40 years. You can handle that, right?
Yeah. But
You
in a sense, we do like to sometimes just do the things we do,
right.
just
So
to do the experience.
exactly. So with your oscilloscope, do you know any of the specs on this thing, or is it just kind of it is what it is? You know, like what the frequency,
Yeah,
what
I
the
don't know
scanner.
anything yet. I don't know anything yet.
Okay, I'm just curious.
I basically made sure it worked. And
Awesome.
that was it. It powered up. It showed the settings, and I did their because dude, I'm not smart. I'm following someone's tutorial, right? And the
Fine.
tutorial said, "Do this to watch this," and I did that to watch it, and it did it, and I was like, "Done, done."
Okay.
I was like, "Okay, it's ready for when I need it." I'm going to learn about the world of oscilloscopes as I dig into
Okay.
some of those bad bread bins.
Oh,
So
definitely.
that'll just be
I,
a nice learning experience.
I think you're going to be fine too with the the 64s and some of the other items. Their clock speed's around what 1 megahertz or
Oh,
two with a 128.
I'm definitely in the one. I think I have a half, a tenth, and a one. Yeah, I definitely fit within that range.
Right, which is great. So I'm pretty sure the basic ones are even going to do like a 5 megahertz, you know, kind of
Yes.
bandwidth. So I think you're golden. Me, on the other hand, I got some clock stuff that might be doing 25 megahertz, 50 megahertz. I'm not sure that'll work for
You
me.
need a real oscilloscope.
Well, I need one that can handle a bigger bandwidth.
Yeah.
I won't say real because yours is real,
Well,
and
you're right.
it's going to fit your needs.
Hobbyist. Let's call it hobbyist oscilloscope
Yeah,
versus a prosumer
yeah,
consumer.
probably.
Right. I have a
Yeah, probably.
hobbyist versus a prosumer consumer because I don't think any of us are going to buy professional oscilloscopes, but there are
No.
lots of consumer and prosumer versions. And by the way, dear listener, you can get a PS2 keyboard for $20 from Amazon. Like
Okay.
legit, the end is PS2. It's new. Can you believe that?
The adapter, I think, cost me 30.
Unbelievable, dude. I'm sitting here going, I can't believe this is really a PS2 serial port.
Seems fine to me.
Yeah. But but why would you do that keyboard when you can have all the fun you're having right now?
Because
These
of all the fun
segues
that
are
I'm
getting
having.
so good, by the way. I want everyone to know these segues are getting good.
Yes, very nice. So what he's getting at is with the two Amiga 4000Ds, unfortunately, I only got one Amiga 4000D keyboard. This one, has a PS2 end on it. Of course, I think it talks a different protocol than the PC one, I think. But anyway, it is dirty. It has a broken stem. So yes. So I am actually taking all of the keys off of it, and it's a little Mitsumi one. So there's this little rubber thing underneath there. So I was missing one, so I had to buy some from. I think someone disassembled one of these and they're sending me five stems and five of these rubber things, and they cost way more than what I wanted to pay. But you know how that goes. These old boxes. So I'm stripping them all. I'm going to clean all the keys. The keys are gross. There's so much um, dirt and dust bunnies underneath the keys as I'm popping the keys off. It is going to be so much fun, or it is so much fun right now. But once it's cleaned up, it's a real Amiga 4000 keyboard for a desktop. I'm really looking forward to having it all put together, fixed. Luckily, I still had the keycap of the broken stem. That was there, just the stem was broken and the little rubber thing was missing, unfortunately. So but the keycap's probably the most important of all of those when tracking this stuff down. It works because I was using this keyboard to actually test both of those 4,000 keys, and it was fine. The key that's and actually even one with the broken stem, it was still there enough that I could push down on it and it would work.
What
was a
key was the
period
broken
key.
stem?
It was a period on the number pad.
Okay, number
Not
pad.
really.
Not a big needer. Not you could
No.
have gone away with never repairing that, but I know you're like me. You just want it to work all around. Even though you could leave it not working, it's like, let's just fix it.
I want it fixed. I want it clean because it is really dirty. You can tell it was well loved, well used. There's looks like somebody spilled something on a couple of them. There's a lot of brown stuff off the bottom. I don't know what's going on with that, and I think to your point, I'm going to use something like Simple Green and try to soak all the keys in water with some of that stuff and try to rub it.
I stole that from you, Soggy, by the way.
Okay.
He
That's
likes
cool.
to use a lot. He likes to use a lot of Simple Green. I noticed as we talk about some of our other folks, Adrian likes to just take things upstairs and scrub them in the sink with water and soap. And I know it seems like 8-Bit's very fond of Windex. So I don't know. Is there a right answer? I don't know. It's whatever works for you, right?
Exactly. I know that Chris uses Windex on boards as well.
Yeah.
I've seen him actually clean stuff with Windex, do a little bit of
Wow.
the ammonia, and then he'll wipe them down with IPA after the Windex.
Yeah.
To get that off of the boards,
Clean it.
but it cleans up really nice. So I'm really looking forward to this. I imagine it's going to take me a few more weeks yet to get everything out. I'm waiting for a part to show up, and have some other engagement. So, but it's coming, and I'm super excited about it. It's nice collection add-on.
Mhm.
And definitely looking forward to it.
Dude, where's this stuff shipping from? Is it from overseas?
The keys are actually coming from some guy in Illinois.
Oh, nice.
I really think he just took a keyboard apart because there are some PC clones that use the same keyboard mechanism.
Uh-huh.
And I found someone was selling an entire PC keyboard that had the stems and all of the rubber things that I
Dude,
needed.
we should have dug through those bullshit keyboards I have and see if there was something in there. That's a very interesting thing to keep in mind, Ryan. So make a mental note. I know, dear listener, you're listening to our conversation. As I look at those keyboards, we need to chat a little bit because there could be one that's good for us to hold on to for the Amigas.
Yeah, I would say to take a look and start popping a key off of each of them, and then take a picture of what does the mechanism.
I'll do that
look
for
like
you.
underneath.
Yeah. Because I would rather not get rid of a keyboard and give it to you for future projects than, $15 to some rando. You know what I mean? I'd rather that go to a better place.
Well, just for reference, the guy on eBay is trying to sell the one. He wanted 55 for it.
For the whole keyboard?
The PC keyboard had the same mechanism as this 4000.
Wow. That's actually a little pricey, especially when I can buy a PS2 keyboard for $19.99.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
No, I'm teasing.
Wonder parts, man.
I know. It's not right. It's not original.
Right. I need like one piece, and I've seen other people selling them. They have a little picture, little X's over the keys. They've already sold off of them.
Oh, wow.
They're selling them the keycaps piecemeal.
Oh, dude, I may start a little private business of selling keycaps piecemeal. That's actually, that might be the way to do it, bro.
If you have something in demand, these were all Amiga ones that I was looking at. They were for particular. There were several different mechanisms over the years, but as each one was there was a different type, different style. This one uses little rubber things. Some of these Mitsumi, I believe, had little springs. There were some early 2000s that were actually MX Cherry Reds.
Wow.
So it's a wide range of stuff.
Yeah.
The same thing happens with the 500s as well. And even some of the 2000s that other places I've looked at, different iterations in time, they all used the same internals, and then they were re-putting in a different case, effectively. This one said Amiga. I don't know what this thing says on it, but it says Amiga in the top right, but it looks different than the 2001. And the 3001 looks a little different, and there's different variations of the 2000s. So it's a very interesting. There's a lot more here than I expected. Let's put it that way.
The arcology of the Amiga is really what
Yes.
bro, we're Indiana Jones. You and
yeah.
I are indie, and we are exploring the past through these great treasures, is all I can say.
Exactly. So with you exploring,
Oh,
what did you go explore?
we got to get a sponsor. These segues are awesome. PCB way. We are exploring. So I went to Germany. And of course, there's all sorts of Germany things, right? We went to all the winter markets. We went to where my girlfriend grew up. We went and saw our high school. So there's lots of those things. But dude, I'm going to Germany. And you know who had a big presence in Germany? Commodore did.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm on the Commodore 64 group that's on Facebook, which if anybody's listening and you like Commodores and you use Facebook, just go look for the Commodore 64 group. It's international. And you know how I know it's international? I said, hello, fellow Commodore people. I am going to Germany. Is there a Commodore museum? Turns out there was. It shut down before COVID, or it shut down with COVID and hasn't really seemed to open back up. But then they pointed me towards the Heinz Nixdorf Museum. Supposedly, the
Where's that
largest
at?
computer museum in the world. It's in Paderborn, Germany. So we got to Frankfurt. We grabbed our car. We drove to Trier, and then we went from Trier to Paderborn. And that was my stop on the trip, right? Like, hey, we're doing all these things. This is really something I want to make sure happens. And we went there. We had, by the way, the girlfriend's in cybersecurity, so she knows she's all about computers and shit. So she had a really great time. It wasn't like I had to pull teeth. I didn't have to pull teeth for her to go. 4 stories. And it turns out I didn't understand all this before I went. I should have researched it. I just went and said, I'm going to have fun. There is a gentleman named Heinz Nixdorf. So this is the Heinz Nixdorf Museum. And he started around the 1950s and basically was the German IBM. I mean, this guy was super successful. I think I sent you some photos. Not only did they have some of his original, like you're taking a picture of an area that was how it was set up in the 60s or the 70s with the equipment right there. Of course, they had a huge retro area. They had Commodores, they had Amigas. I sent you something. I didn't know what it was, and I still haven't researched it, but I remember it's in my carousel of pictures. It was some home computer I'd never heard of before. And I think you were like, I don't know what that is. Exactly. Obviously European. What a great trip. So if anybody's in Germany and you go to Paderborn, or you're in Germany and you're around Paderborn, make a stop and go to the Heinz Nixdorf Museum. And by the way, I think Paderborn is also the hotel that was a converted monastery. So we stayed at some really eclectic places. Very inexpensive too. We just booked everything via hotels.com like the day before. And it was great. But I'm telling you, seeing this museum, they had so much old equipment. I remember I sent you a picture of like a mini Cray. It was a Cray that was small. And I haven't researched why is this small? Because I'm used to Crays being like 5 foot tall, right? Aren't they like 5-6 feet tall? And this thing was like
originals.
Yeah, it was like 38 inches tall or 42 inches tall. It was like, what is this? It just didn't make sense to me mentally from what I've seen. So I need to do a little research on some of the photos I took. But the museum did a great job. Of course, very German. Not as, they're not as much English, but they did have English, German areas along those lines. But dude, the funniest thing they had were robots. They had robots, Ryan. There was a robot down on the first floor that I went up to. And of course, it's like one of these, imagine a bowling pin, right? Let's just go with a bowling pin, big base top, at the middle of it is a touch screen. And then at its head, kind of like as a mushroom top on top of the bowling head, right? And it had its eyes and things, and it could have some characteristics. The one downstairs said, hey, do you want to take a selfie? And we went over to the selfie wall and took a selfie with it. And then I'm on the second floor and I see a robot hiding behind something. It's like It's like behind a display. Like I went, is that a robot back there? So I went back there and it goes, oh, hey, you found me, in German, of course. And it's like, oh, hey, you found me. Let me tell you about this. And it took me to an exhibit. And so they had
Really?
multiple robots on the floors that would, if no one was interacting with them, they would go hide. And then the thing became you found them and they would take you to an exhibit. It was really cute. They did such a great
Oh, that's
job.
awesome.
I did, I was disappointed. I went to their gift shop, and I don't know if this is true for all of Germany, but a lot of Germany I found wasn't like America where you can just buy a lot of kitschy shit. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I can come visit you, Ryan, and we can go downtown and we can buy kitschy shit. You can come with me and we can go buy kitschy
Yeah.
shit. We went to the video game museum, National Video Game Museum. You could buy
Yeah.
kitschy shit, right?
Yep.
The only thing I could buy that was really kind of fun for me to take away from their gift store was a carry bag. Because by the way,
Okay.
they're not about plastic bags in Germany, bro. You
Okay.
bring your bag. You don't get plastic bags. You bring your bag.
Yeah, they
And
do
it
that here.
says in German something about like, can you read this? And it's binary, and they
Oh,
do the
wow.
Heinz. It's H&M in binary. So it was a cool bag. So I use it when I go shopping now because I'm trying
Okay.
this year to not use plastic bags. This year I'm trying to be more environmental. But dude, Heinz Nickdorf Museum, phenomenal from the beginning of tabulating devices like
Okay.
Abacus Pre to current.
Nice.
And we had so much fun looking at their wall of phones, their wall of
Ooh.
calculators. And it's like, oh, that was
Okay.
my first calculator right there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Imagine,
definitely.
imagine about 100 calculators lined up. I say 100, maybe 150. I don't know. It was a lot.
Okay.
And they were from the beginning of calculators to current calculators. And then we got to phones, and it was like, oh, I had that phone. That was my first phone. And you got to see where it was in the generation of all the phones. So they had a lot of great exhibits that weren't just computing, that weren't just retro
Okay.
computing, that were just all around technology. And obviously the Heinz Nixdorf company, are they still in business? I don't know. Are they?
I don't know. Do they have any hands-on exhibits? You know how we
Oh,
went to the video
tons,
game museum? We could
tons.
actually go. We played Pong.
Yeah. They
Okay.
had they had a flight simulator area where you could sit down
Oh,
and do a flight
okay.
simulator. They had some AI based robots that you could talk with that were some of the early generation
Oh,
of the Uncanny Valley, right? It was the early generation, I want to say 80s, when they were trying to create these robots to work with us and talk with us. They
yep.
had a sketch robot that it took a picture of me, and then the robot, I think its name was Leonardo, drew it
Of
out,
course.
right? It drew it out and sent you
Oh,
back the picture. So I have that to frame. It's over tucked away with my secondhand vinyl purchases that we made in Germany.
so
Um,
funny.
Lots of hands-on exhibits. So if you
Oh, that's
are
great.
ever in that area and you have kids, there's lots of things to touch. Like you remember like the PDP, trying to
Yep.
program it, right? So
Okay.
imagine, let's go before the PDP, and you're actually using cables to go into something to something, and you tell it send, and that's a zero
Uh,
or that's a one. They had a
yep.
whole hands-on exhibit about programming that way. So
That sounds great.
100%, man, lots of hands-on.
Yeah, I'm glad that seems like the computer museums are doing that
Yeah.
for the most part. Instead of you just walking around looking at old computers, great. That's cool. But you got to walk around and actually play with them and learn from those older boxes. How does this stuff really work under the covers? And that's fantastic. Yeah,
Dude, they
I
had a
love it.
mechanical phone system. I think you would call it a
Oh,
PBX, right? They
yeah,
had,
yeah.
so imagine 10 feet of PBX.
Oh,
And they
yes.
had phones all laid out in front. Some were rotary. And so you
Hmm.
would go to call another phone that was down the way because everybody had phone
Hmm.
numbers. And you
Sure.
could watch the mechanical phone system do its business because it was
Yes.
all behind glass. And it was
Hmm.
just, dude, great stuff. Like you said, very engaging. Yes, they did build a lot of engagement.
That's great. Do they have any party lines set up with their phones?
No party lines. But I did
Okay.
call my girlfriend and said I loved her. I was like,
No, that
hello,
was nice.
love you, hello. And then I hung up. But I didn't say
That's
goodbye
nice.
because I was right there.
Oh,
There was no reason to say goodbye. I was right there. she knew I was there. So,
That's
but
good.
yeah, that rounds out the end of my year. I
That's
went to Germany, had an incredible visit, and I did get to go by a museum full of computers. There is a home computer museum that's maybe the next country over that someone turned me on to that may be
okay.
for a future visit. So
That sounds great.
we'll see how that goes because I'm going to move to Germany. I know none of you guys believe me, but I'm going to move to Germany. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when you're ready to move and where you end up. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think I've heard you want to move to several places at this point.
Yeah. This
We'll
one's hot though. This one's hot. The other ones weren't as hot. This is hot.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. You never know.
Dude, any Christmas retro goodness come into your life? Or how did the end of the year work out for you?
We were really low key. We spent a lot of time around the house. It actually let me finish the 4000D that I mentioned.
Oh, that's a good
I
time.
spent so much time on that.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine I don't even know how many hours I spent working, reworking. How does this thing work? Waiting for a part. Oh my God, did my chip show up? Yeah, all that. So I spent a lot of time just doing work and getting stuff moving forward.
Yeah.
And we didn't travel this year, so we just stayed here in Virginia.
So the C16's on my hit list. I made it. I started looking at Kim 1s, which is ridiculous. I'm never getting a Kim 1. But I started poking around and I said, okay, let me get off the Kim 1. And I think the SX64 is on my list this year. I think that's my next one to keep an eye out for. What's on your keep an eye out for list this year?
I don't know. Besides some ultra rare stuff, I've gotten most of the models for the Amigas. I know I'm missing a 600, which is fine. I don't necessarily need that. There's a 3000 tower.
Hold on. I don't need any of this. But is it on your list for maybe adding to your collection?
It's one of those things that if it's cheap enough, sure.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't. I'm fine with.
I told you he's a deal maker, folks. I told you he's a deal maker.
I think there was one at VCF that went super fast because it was super cheap last year.
Oh.
So
maybe we'll see another one this year.
Who knows? But outside of that, now I'm into the really rare esoteric kind of things. I bought probably way too much stuff last year. This is a year to try to figure out what do I have and start inventorying some stuff that I have to have a better understanding and maybe trade things that I bought or got duplicates of, which I'm pretty sure there are.
Yes.
For other things and try to fill it out that way.
And but just remember who your A from 100 friend is.
The 1200?
The A500. A500.
Yeah.
Just remember who your A500 friend is.
I think we can. I'm fairly sure I've gotten about 3 of them at this point. I'm almost positive we can get a couple to work.
I think we can.
Well, so it's a building year. I've got the stuff. Now I need to use the stuff.
Oh God, you're sense. Right. You're right. I think I'm gonna go do a little coding. I think I'm gonna go work on my text adventure. Can you teach me how to do GitHub?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, dear listener. We're gonna have a GitHub episode coming up because I'm gonna have this text adventure wrapped up. And I'm thinking what would be great is to put it on GitHub. And I'm sure other big brain Commodore Basic people would want to say, oh, this could work better this way. I don't know if that's how it works, but I'll work with you. We'll work it out. But I think that'll be time for us to maybe do a GitHub. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that, put some stuff out there and start sharing it a little bit. Yeah, that's easy peasy.
I love it. All right, Mr. Ryan, anything else? Or I think we might let these people get back to their lives.
I thank you all for, or dear listener, for following along and hopefully, sticking with us through these episodes. And we'll catch you next time.
I know. I'll send everybody $1. So if you just email us, let us know. I'll send you $1 for listening. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Bye.